I got a story about how I'm turning into you. So to give people
Is this
context,
a good thing or a bad thing?
yeah, it's good.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll let the visual,
audience decide.
Yeah, we'll let them decide. So to give a little context, so Josh is always telling me about like health and fitness, like how much protein I should be getting, and or like supplements or whatever stuff to take. And so I was just at the grocery store the other day, and as I do, I always have my AirPods in because I'm always listening to something, whether it be music or podcast or something.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, I don't remember the specific item I was looking at, but I was looking at two different versions of it. And one I was like, oh, I don't know. Looked at the back and saw which had more protein and just picked that. Didn't even think about it. And then when I got to check out, as soon as like I looked at my phone to pay with Apple Pay, is when I realized I was like, oh, I'm turning to Josh because I didn't pick the item based on like what I liked better. I picked up on it whatever had more protein. And at the same time, I was listening to a health and fitness podcast. And so it all just hit me at that point. I was like, okay, so I'm Josh now. So,
well, I mean, it's good to get on that sooner. I wish I had done, so, kudos to you to taking your health and fitness more seriously at a younger age than I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. That's what happened. So I'm basing all my decisions on what has more protein now. I'm at that point.
So when are you going to just start wearing a bracelet that says, what would Josh do?
WWJD. It's easy.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Time. I'm your host, Josh, and Jered, do what is needed of you. Nothing.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. And this is my co-host, Jered.
Good morrow, Josh.
Good morrow.
I'm going to start using that.
Good morrow.
There's a lot of good morrows.
Yeah.
In House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I like it.
So today we are talking about House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 4. Also The Bear, Season 3, Episode 2. And then Acolyte, Episode 7. But before...
Every time. The way you say it.
Acolyte.
It just cracks me
Acolyte. Yeah, before that, a little what we've been watching, and I warn you now, and I'll try to go through quick. I have a long list of what I watched.
Good. I don't have much.
All right.
Well, I say that, and then I have usually
you end up talking longer than I do.
Yeah, no, but I have just a couple of things, but they'll be as quick as I can.
Right. Well, what do you got? Let's start with one of yours.
Two of them we can kind of wait on because it's The Bear and Presumed Innocent, which I'm assuming we're going to talk about both. I know you said The Bear, but
The Bear, the Presumed Innocent, like we can talk about it together. But like I didn't have that as a breakout thing.
Okay. But you want to talk about last week's, not the one that just came out, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the one that dropped today or last night.
Good, because I didn't watch that one yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Last week I was ahead, but I'm not. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got one show and two movies.
Oh.
The show is because I wanted to watch a good Star Wars show. So I'm like, I was continuing into Andor because the first time I watched it when it first came out, I didn't like it that much. But I'm rewatching it now. And I like it a lot now. I was trying to think why I didn't like it the first time around. And I want to say, because I know a lot, it's the same writer, not the same director, same writer that did, which is Tony Gilroy, that did Rogue One.
Correct.
Or he did part of it, right?
Yeah,
I think there was another writer too.
Yeah.
In Rogue One. So I think I was expecting it to be, because in some ways it is like Rogue One.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to lead up to that movie. But I think I was expecting it to be more like that, and it's still its own thing.
Yeah.
And I think I just wasn't ready for it. and I think I was expecting something different out of it when it first came out. This time, now that I know I already saw it all and watching it again, I appreciate it a lot more now. Plus, this gets elevated a lot because we're watching a bad Star Wars show, and it's crazy to see the difference. Well, and not only that, because we talked about Acolyte, like the lightsaber fight from a couple weeks ago was great, but the main criticism is the writing, and the writing is so good in Andor. So it's like even just the polar opposite. We talk about House of the Dragon compared to Acolyte. You know, we're watching stuff. It's like
it's top
crazy
tier
how
writing, or the Bear.
Yeah, the Bear too. Yeah,
and then comparing it to something but it's like I don't know how it's so bad. That's what I don't understand.
Dude, we'll get into it today. It's man, it's wild, and I just saw the budget for it too. I want to say for the whole season, Acolyte is $180 million.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand that.
Yeah. Doesn't even look like that.
No. I wonder what. I'm sure Andor was high, but they actually went.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they went several. I remember seeing something about it. They went a lot of different places to film all that.
Yeah,
and I don't think they did any. Well, maybe they did, but I don't think they did anything in the volume or in a soundstage, right?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it was all location. But anyway, so I want to shout it out. I'm rewatching them halfway through the season. And also it's good to watch it because I'm hoping season 2 should be
next year. Yeah,
maybe it's got to be early next year, right?
I don't know.
Cause it's been a while now.
Well, I think they just started shooting it this year, though.
Oh, really? I thought they were already done. I thought it was all in.
Maybe I'm mixing up with something else, but
well, I'm excited because it's like they already had it planned out to where. Because I listened to a very short interview with Tony Gilroy, and he was saying it's always just 2 seasons.
Yep.
It's going to lead right into Rogue One.
Yep.
Which is also cool. Once it's all done, it's like we could watch Rogue One, and then A New Hope. It's like it all kind of goes up to that, which is cool. So it'll be awesome to see when this new season comes out. Like, then this is it. And I think we'll get a lot more familiar things, I guess we could say, going into
possibly,
because we're leading up to that anyway. But all right, then the 2 movies, one of them's old, I just wanted to rewatch, is Ocean's 11.
Nice.
We have him on the list, Steven Soderbergh, on our director list, which we'll get to one day. When's the last time you saw this movie?
I don't know. It's been a while.
I hadn't seen it in a long time either. I don't remember the reason why, but I just put it on and I was like, man, this movie's great. And
I love a good heist movie.
Yeah. And the other 2 aren't as good, even though he did direct all 3. I looked that up because I wasn't sure. But it's just, a great ensemble cast that they got for it too. But just want to mention it. It's just
hot
awesome.
Take.
Yeah, hot take. Yeah. Well, then they did something recently with it, and it was bad, right?
The all female version.
Yeah, that was kind of recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it was good or not. I never watched it.
But anyway,
like the whole ensemble was female.
Right. Yeah, but I don't think he directed it.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
And then the last thing is I finally watched Fincher's new movie, The Killer.
Oh, okay.
I started it when it came out, and then I never finished it.
That's Netflix?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, that's Netflix. Yeah.
I thought so.
Fincher's one of my favorite directors anyway. This is Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
It's very Fincher. I don't really, which is awesome. Fassbender's so good in this. What is her name? There's only one other person in it, and she's not in it much. Tilda Swinton, that's who it is.
Oh, okay.
She's also in it. But
she's normally solid.
Oh yeah, yeah. But obviously the direction of this, but what they do with the audio and sound design in particular, which has a lot to do with the story, is just very creative. The way they kind of make music and it kind of interact with what's going on too is really cool. But when there is score, there's not a lot, but I really like that as well. It was really
Nice.
dark and kind of experimental. Yeah, you should watch it. It's sick. It kind of sucks that it was just. I don't think that was in theaters at all,
I don't know. Yeah.
and it should.
Most likely not. Most Netflix
Yeah.
films don't.
Okay, I already had. Well, I had down here. I guess we could mention also. We talked about it on the movie one, but I had it on here. Severance season 2, since that just got announced today.
Yeah,
The date.
Trailer
January.
dropped today.
Well, it's like a little teaser. Yeah,
Light teaser.
there
Yeah.
will be a trailer.
It'll
but
be a bigger, yeah. Teaser dropped
Yeah.
today, and the date of 17th, January 17th,
Yep.
something like that. Yeah, middle of January 2024.
Yep,
Can't wait.
I know. And we're gonna right before that, we're gonna do a rewatch leading up to it.
Yeah,
Because I've been wanting to do
So
that.
probably
anyway.
starting late November, or early December.
Yeah, if we
somewhere.
do,
we'll figure it out. The
yeah.
timing.
Do you want to do one a week?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much in there.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you could do that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
So you got a lot.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
of
I
you're building Legos.
It's partly, but there's, and then there was like a one that I forgot to mention before, and
Okay.
so I'll go through some. So start with Netflix. Geek Girl on Netflix is more of
Don't know
like
what
a
this is.
kid show ish esque. Been watching it with Kirsten, my 11, almost 12-year-old, and she's enjoying it. But it's really well done for what it is.
She was on the pod actually.
Yeah. If you, a
One
while back.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost finished season 1, but it's basically a girl in high school that gets discovered, but she's like very geeky and awkward, and then she ends up being a fashion model, and
Okay.
anyway, yeah. But it's actually not bad and entertaining and kind of fun. So
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that. Started The Mole season 2 on Netflix.
Nice.
And it's started all right. I would say so far, like it's not. I feel like it's like went to B tier versus the A tier of season 1. Of like
Okay.
they remade it and did it in season 1. And season 1, I feel like it was a better cast of characters that they got on the show. The host lady was better than they replaced her with some guy. So it's like, oh, it did well. Let's do some budget cuts and do season 2 is what it feels like. But so far, still entertaining, and it's fun to put on when you're doing other things. Kind of
Seems like Netflix is doing that because you were mentioning Bridgerton. Seemed like there was a budget cut
yeah,
too.
it does. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Then also sticking to Netflix, watched the movie A Family Affair that's on there, and it was also just
This sounds
Decent.
familiar. What is this?
it was new as of like a week or so ago. It has Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman in it as the leads, and then another actress that plays Nicole Kidman's daughter, and it's like she works for Zac Efron, and then he ends up falling for her mom, and it's like that's the whole premise.
Okay.
It's funny. It's got some fun. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like amazing, but it was entertaining, to say the least. But also, Netflix watched the new Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F.
Oh yeah.
That was good.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it felt like the 80s, like the soundtrack is perfect. It was super nostalgic.
Yeah, it had to play
Like
it was the theme song.
Yeah. The
Axel F. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but also it was good. It was funny. Eddie Murphy, I mean, didn't miss a beat, even though it's been years. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt is, also in it as
Nice.
like a new character, and he was good. But then I also want to mention the lady that plays his daughter in it, Eddie Murphy's character's daughter, Taylor Page. I had never seen her or anything, but she was good. Like, she did a really good job and could hold her own she's in so many scenes with Eddie Murphy, and she's on par with him as far as like, from either the dramatic stuff and the comedy stuff that they kind of have to do, because they kind of.
She said you didn't look her up to see if she's been in anything
I did
else?
look her up, and she's been in some other things, but nothing I have seen. And so like she's kind of new to me, but also she was younger and I think new, but I think she's one to kind of look out for, and especially being in this film, she'll probably start getting some recognition.
Oh yeah,
and might see her in some even bigger stuff after.
Nice.
I think that's all the Netflix stuff.
Okay.
Then I watched 6 episodes of The Boys season 4 because I hadn't even started it as of when we recorded a week ago.
So you're all caught up.
And then I got caught up. Yes.
All right. Yeah.
That was mostly watching while I was building Lego.
Yeah.
And
how you feel about season 4? This one's kind of contentious, I've heard.
I
don't know why.
I've been enjoying it. I think I like the new bad character lady that's kind of being like the smartest person in the world, because that's their superpower.
Well, they got 2 new ones because there's Firecracker also. It's what is her name?
Firecracker is like just a fun little like throwaway character, but but the lady that's the smart, like that is giving a newer dynamic to the bad guy side.
She's
playing the system really well.
She's doing she has a
like
massive
4D
plan.
chess,
Yes.
And I think that part of the plot is really interesting. They're definitely, I think the part that I could see getting criticism is like them playing the political stuff a little too heavy-handed, where they have like Starlight's group of people that's supposed to be like basically the left. And then,
right, but they've always done that. You're thinking they do it more.
I think it's like it's a lot heavier handed in this than previous seasons, and maybe that's where I don't know, but like and then of course Homelander's supposed to be the right, and that and then kind of the extremes of those things in both sides, and I think it is a little heavy in this season on that stuff, but it is. But otherwise, I think. The rest of the stuff has been pretty good. Like I said, like the main plot of having, because I feel like it was getting a little over last season. Not that it was bad with, Soldier Boy and stuff, but it's like, it was almost like that stuff's getting so OP. And then even they kind of show it at the beginning of this one where he's just like, which is why he brings in that lady, but because he's just like, no one will even say no to him. Because he's so
and he's just like he's so mad about it. That was a good part of because they're doing a lot with Homelander specifically with this season, which I like.
The gray hairs, the gray pubes, and he's like leaving it in a jar and like all this stuff, and then and then him having to like wrestle with parenting and like realizing he can't just like strong arm his son into doing what he wants. Like so, there's some good stuff there like that, and then also the stuff with Huey and his dad, and then them like having to like basically kill him because he letting him die, because even though they gave him compound V, and then so like there again, like I think a lot of that stuff.
When you meet his mom too, you never have before. Yeah,
correct. So I liked most of that stuff. I think it's all good,
and I like what they're doing with the Butcher also, because he doesn't have. I mean, they say a rough window, but he doesn't have a lot of time to live. And what's kind of happening with him is interesting too.
Yeah. So I have a feeling though, like to me, it is interesting, because in this last episode, you realize like he's been hallucinating both those people.
That was the only thing I was like, I could tell this right away.
Yeah.
Like that was one thing that I feel like they could have done better.
He was hallucinating but I didn't catch the agent.
I feel like it was set up so much because you're like, oh, his what's her name's dead, and he's hallucinating her, so it's like this other guy, because if you think about it, he doesn't interact with anyone else.
It's true, but I again, and also to my defense, I was building Lego when I was watching it, so so I was only like half paying attention, half like but I didn't catch that part until like they revealed it. But also, it's like, I feel like for the show, though, they're only going to do one more season, so maybe they will let him die. But like, I feel like the way the show's made, like they could easily be like, oh, there's this other compound that,
yeah.
and now Butcher's gonna live, whatever. So, I did want to say I love that there was the weird spider guy. What was his?
Oh man,
Huey had to like
dude,
dress as him.
that was the last episode.
Yeah, that scene with where he has like he accidentally uses the hole, like the wrong hole, because it's like his web hole.
Yeah,
that was funny. But then the safe word. Do you remember what the safe word actually was?
I remember when they were trying to crack like
Well, no, like so he's down there.
It was like
down
you
there
said it was Zendaya was like the
that was the safe word.
that was the safe word.
That was the safe
Okay.
word because that was I wrote that down because I was like I thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
that's great.
Yeah, so that I think it's it's as good as it has been. And then the one other thing I'm going to mention, little Apple Vision Pro corner. I finally actually watched the whole other adventure episode, which is the first adventure episode. Even though I was talking about the other the one in Paris with the parkour one, but the first one was a highlining in Norway on like a 3,000-foot cliff, straight sheer cliff, and I finally like watched that, like because I'd only seen like the clips from the trailer, and never actually sat and watched it. So I did watch that because I also updated my Vision Pro to the new beta because it was actually out for that, even though I think it still hasn't dropped for the phone.
No, I still can't update my phone yet.
Yeah, but the public beta is out for the Vision Pro, and in that is the other option where it can take any photo and make it 3D. So your whole photo library.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. And it is crazy.
Awesome.
Like there's ones that, but like 70-80% of them, it does really well and puts full depth and in like people's faces. So like, a portrait of someone, and then you have to like manually do individually. You have to be like, okay, I want to, and it'll take a second and then it does it. And like, then you're looking at this face that has like depth and everything. It's like right in front of you, and it's crazy. It's still still photo, but it was wild.
What else is there anything else like pretty big with the update? Anything new?
So the one thing that was big is, but it's not in the beta yet, is where you're mirroring your screen in there.
Right.
It becomes like super ultra wide. But that's not in this beta.
Okay.
But the other thing, it changed the hand gestures for bringing stuff up, and so now you have these. It actually works really well. You just you flip your hand over, and then like this thing pops up, and you have like,
oh, that's way better.
Yeah, instead of having to look up for the controls and stuff. So and it works well. It's cool, and then you do that, and then you can flip it back over. It gives you different, and you can. It's wild because you do this and brings up like little controls, and you can go into them, or you do this and pinch, and you can adjust volume on things and stuff. Like it's wild, and it works really well.
I like that gesture better because that's way more like sci-fi future.
Yes,
like
sure.
doing that kind of thing and something come out of it.
Yeah,
that's
like
just cool.
Your hand out and wrist. Yeah. For the visual listeners, they saw it, but
for the audio
only. Sorry if that didn't come through. But
flipping your hand around.
Yeah. Instead of having to look up.
Yeah.
To the ceiling. But yeah, and I think that's it. So hopefully I got through that quick enough to
it doesn't seem like, I don't think we've been going that long, so we're
good. Cool. So the Acolyte episode 7.
What about since we're not?
I skipped it because I was waiting for us to talk about
it. Yeah.
Presumed Innocent episode 5.
Yeah.
Which I watched like almost a week ago now, so I'm trying to remember.
Okay. I was telling you
I still think it's good.
Oh,
the show has been great every episode. So this was after he punched the guy, because that was the end of the one before where he punched the guy, and
this ends with the trial starting.
Right. The trial starting. Yes.
Yep. And in like his speech at the end was like so good that Jake Gyllenhaal's like, crap. Like he's just like, oh.
Yeah, it's the prosecutors opening speech to the jury, and then that's where they cut. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good.
And
what was there was new information that came out this week too. What was it to the case, right?
That I don't remember because I also watched it a week ago.
Yeah. But that show's still
it's great.
So strong. Yeah,
it is.
Every episode.
Did you I said last week the way it starts was so out of nowhere. It's with I still can't remember. Oh, it's what do they call him? Is it Raymond? Bill Camp's character.
Okay.
Is it Raymond?
It sounds right, but one of the guys is Raymond. But
yeah, it starts with him. Do you remember the scene?
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like, and he's like, it ends up he's dreaming.
Yeah, but it's like
head explodes.
Dude, that was like, I was not expecting that. Like that freaked me out because I was not expecting that to happen. But
it was
such a crazy opener. Yeah.
A little out of left field, like for the show, right? Because it's been so grounded, and then to have something like that, it felt a little caught you off guard.
Yeah.
All right, so now the Acolyte, episode 7, Choice.
Slash.
No, there's no slash.
Really?
Yeah, it's just called Choice.
I thought there was a slash. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Huh.
Very sure.
Okay.
So, synopsis: a bitter truth is revealed. I'll just say all these.
That's it. Wait, that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Well, because what more is there to say when there's not much to a plot anyway? Like these episodes are so like lack of any story that there's hard to write a synopsis when you're usually like, well, nothing really happened.
Yeah, I know, and this is the penultimate episode too, which is insane.
Yeah. All right, so overall thoughts.
Well, it's just as soon as it started and it was like going back like episode 3, I was like, oh no. Because that was like my least favorite one.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're back here again. And we pretty much are for the whole episode again.
Yeah, beat per beat, like except for then we're seeing it from the other perspective.
The Jedi's, yeah. Yeah, this might have been. This is close to the bottom of like worst episode of the season, I think. And
definitely, I would say episode 3 was worse.
That was the worst one. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
but this is kind of close.
Yeah, it's kind of close. Maybe there's the episode. Well, episode 4 also was kind of meh.
Oh yeah, that was very That was the lead up to.
And then it just cuts when you.
The ending was sick because it was like them encountering him, but yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and then it cuts.
And then so because all the action's in episode 5.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is because this one did have some cool action in it.
Yeah,
the fight
it did
with Jedi versus Jedi because they. So that was kind of cool, and then also the yeah, so it was the fight, and then also the like some of the stuff with the what was revealed that he ended up accidentally kind of killing her because it just look cool this visually stuff was cool.
My main issue though is that the Jedi so the way they're painting the Jedi to be in this is just it's not good because they're kind of making them out to be evil, which they're not. Sure, they're not perfect, but they're still the good guys. And also just like some of the things that happen, they're just making the Jedi look very incompetent, which they're not. It's just, again, like pretty much most of the other episodes, it's just some of the decisions just don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I also just don't really I don't like this whole backstory, just like episode 3 of like, you know, and this whole planet and like what happened and how these twins were created was just, it's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how they're going to finish this season.
Yeah. 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 It's such
And again, $180 million for this season is insane.
it doesn't even look that good.
No,
It doesn't. Like, I'm sorry, but
no, it doesn't.
it doesn't. Yeah, it's just like a mess of a story. Because, like, okay, so
Yeah.
the motivation, why things even go south in this episode is because the younger Padawan,
Mhm.
like, is like wants to go back to Coruscant, and then like, and you're like, there's no character development there to even like understand,
No.
to like feel and be like, oh, this guy, he's
And then she just plays on that. She's like, "Oh, you want to go home?"
yep.
And then
And so then that's what kind of, you know, why because then when he finds out, oh, it had to be virgins in the Force or whatever,
Mhm.
and so then he's like, we got to go get him. That's our proof, so we can go back to Coruscant.
Yeah.
You're like, that's the motivation here.
And so, but that's what I mean, like, because they're trying to make the Jedi look evil, and then this, what is her name? This mother,
Mm-hmm.
like, she's more doing good, but yet, like, her actions in this are very, like, Sith-like, because, like, what she did with this young Padawan.
Yeah.
Like, basically on what he desires most is what she's, like, kind of feeding on.
Well, I don't think they're trying to make the Jedi look evil. I think they're just trying to set up so that they messed up, is what they're trying to do.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, but it's just done so poorly that it's. But I think they
Yeah,
want to
true.
just set it up so that hey, they screwed up, like kind of like a
Yeah.
bigger oops than just like a little oops,
Right.
and then accidentally kill this lady, and then they cover it up by like telling the Jedi Council that like how it went down. You know, they like kind of omit some of the details and just say, hey, you know, here's that. And so that's supposed to be the big thing that they've been living with for all these years. That then like why the one guy just is in a trance and is like, okay, kills himself.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause that's him, right?
yeah,
It's the same character, right?
It's supposed to the
Yeah, 'cause
Padawan.
he's got the,
It's the
he's got
Padawan
the- right, yep.
that was hovering there in like
Mhm.
a trance for
and it's
and
it's
he's-
wild that she just gets him to drink poison that easily.
yeah, and because then he sees that she's alive,
Mm-hmm.
and like he should be like excited. Oh wait, we thought you died.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
Like none of that makes sense. Like
No.
none of that. It's like it's just I don't write TV, so I can't. But like I like feel like what we can pull off in the 30-second or 60-second commercial and make people feel something and feel and understand motivation. It's like then, you know, when you have 30 minutes
Yeah.
and multiple episodes, like I feel like you should be able to do it, and you can. I mean, people do. I mean, let's again back to Andor. Like Andor is like there's depth there to the characters. There's you understand their why, and even in short, like I'm trying to think of another good example of something with writing that, you know, but there's plenty of good shows that are written well that, you know, they can introduce somebody and there's no ambiguousness about it. Like you understand who
Mhm.
they are, you understand their motivations, and it's like works, right?
Yeah.
Trying to think, but well, Breaking Bad's a good example. Like they could bring a character in that you'd never even seen into one episode, and by the end of the episode, that character's dead, and yet you would understand, feel, and be okay,
for sure.
yeah, right? Or Better Call Saul, you know, same writers. So I'm just saying, like, so it just comes down to the writing, which again I keep coming back to. Like I don't understand because Russian Doll was so good.
Yeah.
I just don't understand where
I don't
where
know.
this went.
And so it's confirmed she wrote all that and wrote a lot of this season. Like, 'cause I
She's
know
the
she
showrunner.
directed-
She's the showrunner
Oh,
of this, and had the
right. She
idea.
didn't okay.
And I don't know if she directed any episodes. She might have directed some of the
Yeah.
episodes. They probably had some other writers like
Mm-hmm.
as a team when they actually wrote it, but as a showrunner, she's like basically the
Yeah.
head writer, so to speak, and guiding that story. And that she definitely wrote and directed Russian Doll.
Right. Yeah, and that's really good. So I don't know. I think it's kind of what I've talked about before. I think these showrunners, some of these just don't understand Star Wars as much as they should if they're showrunning a Star Wars show.
But does it, like, to me, the issue isn't the Star Warsness of it.
Sometimes it is. But no,
I can look past that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people would argue, like, where I like The Last Jedi as a film, because I think it's a good film. And yeah, if you want to argue some things in there that you're like, well, that's not, of the Force, or that was never, whatever. And there's some things in there like that you want to argue with.
Some big rain choices in that don't make sense. But
that's fine. Like, we can argue that, but that's getting into the lore and whatever.
Yeah.
But as a film, that's a good film. And it's the same, same thing as and so any of the shows, I would feel the same way. Like, if you can write a good story and then, we can argue some little details like that. I mean, cause the same thing as like the last one where, she, brings, bring something back to life with the Force and the third movie. Yeah. The last
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. I always forget the even name of that film because it's so
well, we said it literally was stitched together, and it feels that way. Yeah. That movie.
Anyway, again, some cool action scene in that, but that film is like not necessarily a good film because it's just like story structure wise, it's all over the place.
And The Last Jedi thing, I do think there's writing in that doesn't make sense, especially with Luke's character. I know that's a lot of people's opinion of that movie, what they don't like about it. But I agree with you. Like, yeah, it's still a good movie the way it's done, and it even has, like, as far as sequel stuff, it has one of the best fight scenes, like that throne room scene.
Yeah.
With Rey and Kylo and all the red Imperial guards.
Yep.
It's so sick.
Yeah.
So there is good stuff in that, but it just like this show. There is, I mean, I guess there's not a ton of good stuff in this, but there are some good stuff in this show.
As far as like action scenes, yes, but from a overall story,
characters and
story and
is,
character, it's like it's terrible.
Yeah,
and again, we know,
except for Kamir, honestly, like he's the one, our Sith guy, like he's the one that's the most interesting.
Right, he is.
But when the change was made, though, because I didn't like him when, beginning episodes when he was pretending to be whatever he was.
Goofy,
because there was some interesting stuff he said, even in last week's episode, even though I didn't like that episode that much. But, there was some interesting stuff in there. So, it's weird. So, like, they did do, I guess, some good writing with him. But it's like I mentioned last week, like with Soul, like the very beginning of the show, I was like, oh, this guy's cool. And then now I'm like, this guy sucks. And
so
and even what's the name?
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah, Carrie-Anne Moss. Yeah, right. Like even her in this, because like the beginning didn't really make sense. We talked about it, the very first episode, the way she died was kind of dumb. But
cool fight scene up to that point, though.
It was, yeah. But then in this, I didn't like her as much in this episode. Mm-hmm. So it's like a lot of them. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint what they're doing because it's obviously the writing in general, but what they're doing with these characters too is not great.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just one other note was like, just thought it was funny, like. there was two props that were like the Wookiee with the metal detector. Like,
Oh, that was bad.
So it was just like, you're like, this is just a metal detector. And then the same thing when they were testing the kids and they came in and he's got like the thing and it's basically just an iPad with like a case with a handle on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's just an iPad.
Yeah.
And then I made me think it's just kind of that specifically I thought was funny because I'm like, oh, today's tech is actually too good that they have to like kind of almost like dumb it down and make it like this chunkier thing to even make it make sense in the Star Wars universe because Star Wars it was still
like a retro future type.
Well, at the time it was
Yeah.
it was made in the 70s, and so it was kind of going for what was seemed cool then. So and hasn't evolved from that, right? So it's so then you're taking like today's tech and having to like bulk it up and make it this like chunky thing because you're like it doesn't look right if it was just this like. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it didn't look great.
Got to spend all that $180 million
on something. I don't know what. So you want to talk about not Star Wars? The song during the end credits. Did you listen to it at all?
Did not listen to it. No. Has it been the same one every time? Or
no. This was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's just like a random like pop song. Like what? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh man.
It says this show's making the Obi-Wan series look good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
it is, but
there was like parts of that were cheesy.
There was parts of that were still dumb though.
Yeah, but like, I'm like,
this is worse.
But this at least that had some actual story structure to it. This is like just a mess. So
yeah.
Anyway, only one more episode to go.
We'll see what happens.
And maybe it'll redeem itself.
No, it won't. It won't even. It won't even tie up everything. Just like the other shows, we talk about that.
I know.
They just spin their wheels, and at the end, it's like, all right, we're just not going to resolve everything.
All right, let's talk about something completely different. The Bear.
Yeah.
Season 3, or should I say Part 3?
Part 3. Yeah.
Episode 2. Next.
All right, so this, because I'm still ahead.
Yep.
This is the one where most episode they're just arguing, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
It says synopsis: Carmy sets a new standard.
Oh yeah, the changing menu,
Yep.
right?
So my first note is almost the whole episode. Not only are they arguing, almost the whole episode takes place at just that table.
Yeah.
That final I don't know what you call it in the kitchen,
like the
but
preparation.
the final preparation where it needs to go out to be served. It's like that table. The whole episode almost. There's the opening.
Yeah.
That where what's her name's talking to her dad, and there's that whole comedic situation where he wants the bathroom, and then he's got to take a dump basically, and she's like, I'm almost done. He's like, I need it now, and then she leaves for work, which was it was a funny interaction. It was good. But then from that point on, then it's Carmy in that kitchen at that table, and then people coming and going and arguing with them basically.
Yep.
And more of them sometimes hanging around until the end where they're all arguing.
It's just it's mostly Richie, which is just the best, like, because he's one of my favorites.
Yep.
But especially when him and Carmy are arguing, is just
and they're arguing through her. Like, can you tell?
Yeah.
So great. But first, this again, the difference in writing. This you're just trying to contrast. Like this is totally different.
Yeah, and it's not like they're moving the plot. Like this is very much in
barely
one spot.
Goes anywhere.
Yeah,
but good writing and acting, and you've got something that's very engaging.
Yeah, it was the whole time. Yeah.
So I just happened to come across this when I was looking up stuff for the.
Okay.
They said the F word 68 times in the 22-minute runtime of this episode.
Wow. Didn't realize it was that much.
They were saying it a lot.
Yeah.
But
what I love about Richie the most is just his sci-fi knowledge, because he brings that into his sentences or even insults,
Yeah.
like calls people replicants. He did, I think in this episode he had another reference. It wasn't to Blade Runner, it was some other sci-fi thing that I was like, no, actually it might have been, I don't know, maybe it was later.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I just love when he does that. Oh, he makes a freaking reference, which might be later, but anyway, yeah, which is great. So I guess he's kind of like a movie buff in general. So he's talking about Freakin', which is the director of the original Exorcist. I want to say there was another sci-fi thing, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Was there? I don't know. Did you recognize it? Maybe it's a different episode.
It must be a different. I didn't pick up any of that, but this was but it was just
yeah, and it's great just because it's like what Carmi's doing is just, I mean, he's battling in his own head, but like he's taking it out on everyone else, but even like with the changing the menu every day, when that was not the plan, like he's just right then and there is changing it up. Yeah.
It's like, these are the non-negotiables.
Oh, the non-negotiables. Yeah, like, there's all that too.
They're like, what are these? And he's like, they're non-negotiables.
Yeah. That's right, because he keeps talking about all these things to like, he's like, we won't be like fully excellent as a restaurant until we, or whatever he says. And then
he wants to get a Michelin star.
Yeah, the Michelin star. Yep. And I mean, but it's just him and what he's been dealing with at obviously the end of the last season and going into this season.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, there's always been stuff through this whole show that he's dealt with, but this is just another thing that's a little more fresh because it's not like stuff that we've seen from like his family or like his mom or his brothers or this is a brand new person that he was dating, and so it's just I guess also then just it was cool all the stuff from the first episode that we see with his original, I don't know if it's his original boss or chef,
a couple of
all
them,
that.
Like you see it goes through a couple of them. Like it's like kind of his different points of his journey and like the things that affected him and brought him to where he's at, good and bad.
Yep.
But it's again just great all around execution. Like you said, like it very engaging and watchable and all this stuff, and like yet nothing really moved forward as far as
which is just because I mean, and obviously everything with the show, I mean, the music, cinematography, everything else is so great too. But if you think about just characters and writing, which is exactly what we were talking about with Acolyte, and then think about the bear, the characters and the writing. Is like, that's why you could make an episode like this where it's like, man, not much happened, but you're still, because of those two things.
Yep.
And then there's like what we were saying, like episode 4 of Acolyte, where there's not much happened, but it's the characters and writing. You're just like, this is just not good. So like that could have been good.
Yeah.
It's just, it's wild. I mean, and I know there's a lot going into it. I know I like to shout out editing too, because that could make or break something too. I know you always talk about that as well. Yeah.
Yep. For sure. Editing plays a big role.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm still enjoying it. The other note I just had was interesting. Like a couple times they called him the bear in this episode.
Oh,
which I feel like wasn't a common thing in the previous seasons, like as much. I mean, maybe in season 1.
Yeah.
But like, because then the guy, the pastry chef guy, like he's like, take us there, the bear or something like that. Or when he shows him non-negotiables and he's like, all right, he's like, you can take us there, bear, the bear, so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, enjoying it so far. Trying to just take it easy, one episode a week,
Yeah.
sink it in.
That's what I'm doing now because I watched a few, but then, yeah, I'm going
Okay.
to hold off on the rest.
All right. So now, House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 4, The Red Dragon and the Gold. As Rhaenyra makes her sure there is no other way to end this conflict but war, dragons flew and the dance begun.
Yeah. So, did they change the name? Because definitely when I looked it up beforehand, the episode was called A Dance of Dragons.
Well, it wasn't official. That was just like rumored title.
Okay, yeah, I guess, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, have that as a notice. You were wrong about the title.
I was. Hey, I looked it up. That's what it said. I think it said on IMDb also
Yeah, well,
beforehand.
just,
But yeah, I guess it's people. Yeah, I guess anyone can just, you can just put that on there. Yeah. Well, I guess that is, and that makes sense. Yeah, if people are guessing, because I think that's the section of the book that's like called that, and that's
either section or I think or this time period.
right.
They reference that because of just like dragons fighting dragons.
Mhm.
All right, so overall thoughts on this episode?
I mean, still great. Obviously the ending especially, I thought was great. I mean, even the lead up too, in the beginning, but that whole ending battle, obviously, but also, honestly, the very last shots, even I thought were so great in this episode. And it's just interesting. It makes sense now, like budget wise, why they kind of had to hold off on like showing some of the other battles. Like it's kind of just cut. We see like the aftermath. So, we obviously get more of it in this episode. But yeah, I still love the show. I still think this season's just kind of, in every way, I think they kind of upped themselves from season 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the best episode
so far
of this show.
Okay.
Between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
Because I think this episode is kind of what they've been promising when the show was announced. Because the battle scene was so cool and so awesome in this, but at the same time, this episode still did what Game of Thrones at its best did as well, where you had the really cool medieval type action stuff, but you also had strong character story and development along with it. And this episode does both. Like there's so many good scenes where it's just people talking in a room and they're powerful. And then but then we also have these great battle field type stuff. So I think it really delivered what they promised because the what we've been waiting for also is seeing dragons fight each other.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of what was discussed about this era and when they were making this show as the spinoff show. Yeah,
because in Game of Thrones by that time there's like Dany has the only dragon. So it's like this was a House of the Dragon, this is a time period where there were a lot more dragons. Yep. So there's a lot more of this was going on,
So, well, let's get into some specifics. So, we start off with not start off, but the little stuff in the King's Landing with Alicent drinking some tea.
Yeah. No, actually, the very beginning is Daemon and Harrenhal.
Yeah. So, well,
oh, you want to get back to that?
Well,
okay.
I mean, like that's an isolated thing.
Yeah.
That's like by itself. I mean, we can talk about it, and actually had it on here list first, but then, let's talk about how Daemon and Harrenhal. Are these visions, dreams, nightmares? Are they induced because it's haunted or whatever, or is it
No,
Or
I
is
think it's that woman.
Or is that you think the
Yeah.
woman's creating it?
Yeah, I mean, well, she even gives him something to drink.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's like hard to know what's real and what's not. Like
it is. Yeah.
the way they're the way they're showing it.
Well, it is cool. Yeah, like when he initially wakes up, he sees the blood on his hand, but then it's gone. So like, yeah, I think she's.
A witch.
Yeah,
She's a witch.
she's a witch. Bono. Yeah, I think she's part of like what was the man? I just haven't watched Game of Thrones forever. What's the red woman? You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I think something similar to that.
Yeah, that's possible.
But also we talked about how, was it last episode where he wakes up near the tree?
Yes.
And there's things with those trees that actually can cause hallucinations or visions or
because there's
so that's
where were those in Game of Thrones? There was because they had one of those at Winterfell.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because all the they because you see it at the beginning of the show and then at the end too when they all reunite. They all reunite at that tree. Yeah. So there's
some mystical stuff.
There is, but I don't know how that
is influencing this.
Yeah, and I don't know how that actually happens because they don't really explain that even in Game of Thrones.
Right, they don't go into specifics.
No.
They let it be more ambiguous.
Mm-hmm. And it could be in the books. I mean, they could go into it more.
Yeah, I don't know. Because neither of us have read the books.
No. But anyway, I think all this stuff with him, with Damon, like I said before, I like Harrenhal, this place in general, but also this woman too. All this is very interesting.
It's interesting, but what purpose is it serving?
I think it has to do with kind of Damon's future because she says, was the last episode? She said, "You will die here."
Right. But is that just made up, controlled stuff?
I don't know.
Just try to freak him out, or is it true visions of the future?
Yeah, and I think it has to be kind of something that could be misinterpreted because what I like about this beginning is, we see young Rhaenyra again, but the way it starts is he can't understand her. So I think there's something to do with that as well. I think actually that whole scene, yeah, and then she's still talking. So I think all that might be, again, it could be a misinterpretation of the future, but I think it has something to do with something that will play out for him later on. I don't know when, but yeah.
Also, so this will touch what happens at the end, but also find it from this might be from the writing of the book, whatever, like, because I assume they're following along with what the history book says, but I find it very convenient that as the first engagement of battle, Damon's off the playing board.
Yeah.
Off doing this other thing. Because if he wasn't, and he was at Dragonstone? No, what's the...
Well, the place is like Rook's Rest or something at the end?
No, if he was there where Rhaenyra's like council is.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever their castle is. I'm sure I'm drawing a blank.
We're going to get flamed for that. It's like a common thing. Yeah, yes. I know. Yeah.
But if he was there,
yes,
and then she's like, okay, I'm ready for war, he would have been the first one on his dragon to go. And then if him and Rhaenys both went, this would have been a wholly different story.
Well, you remember in the first season, which I think was like one of the coolest scenes, I believe it was episode 3. It was all on foot, but you remember him just charging into that battle with the crowd guy, whatever they call him.
Right, yeah.
But he goes in, so like we know his skill, even when he's not on a dragon. So like, yeah, Anyway, so it would have been, it would have been very different.
I just find it interesting
because I don't even think Aemon would have gone.
Right.
I think Daemon would have said something to him, or maybe even taken his place. In that final scene. So then,
well, he wouldn't have been able to control him.
Aemon?
I think Aemon wouldn't. I mean, Aemon's like Damon wouldn't be able to tell Aemon what to do.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, they're on two different sides.
Oh, well. Wait, are you... Hold on. Yeah, I guess...
Because Aemon.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The one with the patch.
Because he's
still team green.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking... No, you're right. Well, I guess they're kind of matched skill-wise, I want to say, because Aemon, I think they say, is like one of the best with a sword. Obviously, we know Daemon is too. So, I mean, that would be interesting also to see them go at each other, you know?
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see that.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. I just like to make it was convenient that he was not available for this first engagement that we have. And I think it would have been a very different story if he was there. But anyway. So then let's talk about King's Landing. Alicent, first kind of stuff with her. She's drink some tea.
Yep.
Since between watching it and recording, definitely seen a couple good memes about her drinking the tea, and then also young Rhaenyra drinking the tea and being like, and then there's the picture of Kristen like, no one wants my baby.
Yeah.
But anyway, but also I think she's realizing that what the mess she's already created, and it's gone too far, because she's, like, even the question she asked the guy that brings the tea about, like, she's like realizing, hey, a little bit of my misunderstanding of what was being said, and suddenly we are in the position we're in right now, where things could have been very different. So,
well, we already talked about how just like one miscommunication just starts a whole war. So it's crazy. There's a lot that can happen just from something very simple.
Yep. And then she's kind of off in her own, and then she's like trying to find the book, right? Because she wants to prove like that what Rhaenyra told her about the line. So she's trying to find it, right? Which is on the dagger. Right?
Yeah, it is.
Where actually it is, right? Yeah, it's and then of course the final kind of scene with her is when she's telling Aegon not to go, and just, you need to do what you were meant to do and do nothing.
Yep.
Which of course then he's classic like teenager and doesn't want to listen to his mom, and does the complete
she's right
opposite.
though.
Yeah, she is right.
Yeah,
like it's because it's like a lot of.
I liked also how she basically was really going into him about, like, do you realize what transpired to get you to where you are right now?
Yeah.
And
like, have a little respect. The same like I ran this country, ran this kingdom.
Yeah, she did when Jaehaerys,
he was like on his deathbed for a while,
basically towards the end.
And then the same with her, her dad being the hand for like 3 different kings or something. And
where is he? Where is Otto Hightower? We haven't seen him in a while. Like, I wonder where he went.
He was like, I'm out of here.
No, we don't even know where he went at all.
Like, well, they didn't want to have to pay that actor,
Yeah.
So they replaced him with the brother.
Yeah. Well, I hope he does come back at some point in the season, at least.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
So but that was good. Like, and those were examples of like some of that, like that scene with her and Aegon, like, is a good just in the room talking kind of scene. There's the scene with the small council where Aemon and Aegon are like there, and he finds out that they've been plotting stuff without him. That scene was fantastic. He starts talking to him in High Valyrian, and then like it's obvious he doesn't understand, but he tries, but it's like and it just oozed like brothers, like
Oh yeah.
like the natural like competitiveness of like wanting to one up on each other and something, and just it was great, the dynamic there.
It was.
Yeah. We have Kristen. We first see him and he beheads the other lord and gets a bunch of people to follow him.
Yeah.
Was like a good example of way setting like the tone of like, hey, you know, he might be bad at a lot of other things, but he actually knows how to battle and do war.
Yeah. And it's good that he actually, because I was thinking he would have just like made someone else do the beheading. So at least he did it himself, you know. Yeah, and his
tactics are
because his speech at the end too actually was pretty good. Like right
before he's like I think there's like the weird side stuff for Rhaenyra and her husband. Like she goes to visit him at the docks again or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that stuff, like so far I feel like we've gone to that set.
We have, docks, yeah.
Like every episode briefly just to be like
nothing.
But nothing really happened. No. It was just like, hey, don't forget about these people, because I guess at some point they're going to become important again.
Yeah.
And so they want you to not forget, but like, and of course it gives this opportunity for them to interact like a little bit last time, because obviously then she dies at the end of this episode.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking, I mentioned this maybe last week or the week before, I thought the Starks would be involved more at this point. Like we're now halfway through the season. Like they are
like quicked off in the beginning when they were supposed to send some troops, but they haven't really seen any of the.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess
it's true.
We'll see. Maybe next week.
So then that kind of leads to like this final confrontation. And oh boy, this
was the best part of the episode.
Yeah. There was some really, really cool stuff. So obviously, even just the scene of Aemon and his dragon. What's the dragon? The giant dragon.
Yeah, is that Vhagar?
Vhagar, yes. And just hiding in the trees is so sick looking.
Well, and then right after that, when you see. They did a really good job with the scale, because when you see them all separate, but then you see how much bigger that dragon really is than the other ones is insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sure. She's like, it's funny. They even do a good job with the CG and how they, crafted this look of Vhagar, but because she even looks way older too, and like even the way she acts and everything is just, they did that really well.
Yeah. Moves a little more like, because it's bigger, moves a little differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff. It's, it's done so well. And even like the takeoff from there when he finally does take off. So obviously the plan was for him to engage, but then he sees, Aegon show up with the golden dragon and he's like, oh, hold on. And he holds back, which is interesting.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this because now it didn't go this way, but do you think Aemon really was trying to kill his brother?
I think, I think there was definitely, because he's next in line, right? So like, hey, my brother's an idiot. I really should be running things.
It's also crazy.
I'm trying to running things behind his back anyway. Yeah.
It's crazy how when he's like getting ready to get on the dragon to Aegon, like just how trashed he is too. Like he's so drunk, and it's like, this is such a dumb idea.
Yeah. Don't drink and fly.
Exactly. Same rules apply.
Yeah. But yeah, I to your point, I think it's one of those things where not really gonna want to kill my brother for sure.
But if something would have happened,
if on accident,
be too mad about it. Yeah.
So I think he's not. But also think again, interesting just to kind of hold back and see like, hey, let's see how this plays out. He's like, because this is unexpected. My idiot brother just showed up.
Yeah.
And so, so then we see them engage initially at first, and it's obvious that one, I mean, he's, as we know, he's an idiot anyway, but then on top of it, he's a drunk idiot right now. And then
he's like hanging off the side at one point, like he's barely hanging on. Yeah.
And I mean, she makes Renice makes quick work of him and the dragon. And then
I want to say also, just because this is like, this could have been really poorly done, because it's just like, it's kind of like what Deadpool even references. Like he's like, oh, look, big CGI fight coming up, you know, like just the dragons interacting and fighting each other. Like that could have been very bad and like, kind of, hard to keep track of what's going on. But they did such a good job with that the whole time.
Yeah.
And you really actually felt it, and it didn't just feel like a big CGI fight like some of the Marvel stuff, you know, sometimes. So
for sure. No, it felt ground. You felt the weight of it. You felt like you said, you could see the scale, which they did a really good job last week when they even just that scene with the dragon. But
I will say the only shot though that still looks bad is just when you see them on top riding. That's the only
close-ups with it. Yeah. They're still So then we get Vagar engages as they're kind of, and then he just like burns them both basically, because he's like, I don't care, you know. And of course you could play it off as, because I think it's definitely how it happened last time where he killed the other kid, because Vagar just get out of control because it's so big and just like he's a brute, or she's a brute. It's she.
I think it's she.
Yeah, she's a brute, and you know, just kind of doesn't even know its own strength, so to speak.
Yep.
So
also, if you're that old, you're just like, I don't care.
I'm old and I'm coming back.
I'm coming back. Yep.
But yeah. So then Renice like gets away, and she's kind of clear out of it if she wanted to be.
Yep.
And you definitely get that, like, which again, kudos to the actress.
Yeah.
Like that, like the look of just like, no, this is what I need to do, knowing that it's probably going to be the end of me, but I need to turn back. And then she turns back.
It was, I mean, it's a very effective scene, what happens, but I was also, when you see her actually falling, you know, I was just thinking, I'm like, she's probably thinking like, man, I should just burn them all when I had the chance, you know, at the end of season one. It's like she had him right there. Remember, she came out from under the ground.
Yep.
And right there, it's like, it sucks, but she could have done it.
Sometimes you're like, maybe I shouldn't have been the better person.
Yep. Especially not in this time. Yeah. In this world. Yeah. Westeros.
So they engage again, and of course the bigger dragon just ends up biting. It was just like biting
his
neck through. And that's how she, I think it was interesting when they fall, there's like the explosion.
Yeah.
Almost like a bomb, a firebomb, which is, I mean, I think in a idea wise, it's interesting because, and I don't know if that's the thing that's in the book or whatever, but you know,
because of what they can do,
like they have to be creating that inside somehow and then letting it out.
Sense.
So it makes sense that they'd have build up combustion of flames inside of them to be able to spit it out. And so why would it not just blow up when they crash like that? So I just think it was interesting, and definitely demolished the edge of that castle. The
two shots I want to mention.
Yep, good.
That I just thought were so good, and just especially visually too.
Yep.
Was this shot when Kristen was getting up.
Yep.
After he was knocked out. Man, that shot looked great.
And then when he puts his hand on that soldier with the flag, and he just like
Just
demolishes and disintegrates. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just the very final shot too.
Yep.
Once he gets over there to
Yes.
Aemond. Yeah.
Aegon and Aemon and the.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And Aegon, you think, I mean, he's not dead, but like you think he is. Like,
Okay, I was going to ask you.
oh, you think he is?
I mean, I don't know.
No. He's definitely alive.
Okay, you think he's alive?
Yeah. There's no way they're killing him off yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Game of Thrones.
No, it is. Yeah, you're right.
They, I mean, how
I
do
mean,
you,
he's not going to be like fine though. Even if he is alive, like he's
so,
he definitely
well,
is going to be
you think,
messed up.
because if they do explode almost of fire when it landed,
Yeah, but they
the
show a
dragon's
shot.
dead, right?
I think so, but they show the shot of him. You remember,
Yeah.
there's a quick shot you see of,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think he's just going to be messed up. I don't think he's going to be dead.
Okay. Well, we shall see
Yeah,
this week.
but yeah, because we haven't mentioned it too much, but yeah, I wanted to mention the cinematography again because obviously
Yes.
every episode there's some great shots, but that was in particular this whole ending section
Correct.
looked great. It's really good.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. Really all around.
Yeah, we're halfway through now because this is only 8 instead of 10.
Oh,
this
really?
season.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. The halfway point. Cool. Well, any other thoughts on this episode?
No, I mean, all of this show, like everything that's going on in it, is always interesting. Just this whole history of the Targaryens in general is really interesting. But honestly, out of everything, I think the kind of more mystical stuff with Daemon, I was like, I'm really interested in that. It's,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say I was like, did we know? Because I mean, I'm sure they talk about it in Game of Thrones, like, and they're talking about the history. Like, where do we know where does this end? Like, because like obviously, technically, it's be easy to look up because one, this book is completely written, but then also, if you rewatch Game of Thrones, you probably pick up on things of like, oh, okay, that's where, because like who ends up being, because we know, what's his name? That's the king at the beginning of Game of Thrones. He overthrew the last Targaryen.
Right.
Because Jaime Lannister killed him.
Robert Baratheon.
Yeah, Robert Baratheon. But Jaime Lannister killed him for him. Remember, because he's like the Kingslayer.
Kingslayer. Yep.
So
The Mad King. Yeah,
he was the Mad King. Which they had a reputation for going crazy.
Yes.
Right? The Targaryens.
But I don't think in Game of Thrones they ever mention his actual name. They just call him the Mad King, right?
I don't.
Or did they?
I don't remember. It's
yeah.
been so long since I've watched. But it's like, so we know we end up with a Targaryen.
You know what is interesting though, because I saw this actually. Claudia pointed out to me a while back when she was rewatching Game of Thrones. I think around the same time as the first season of House of the Dragon. Joffrey does say something. He points down into the dragon pits and he says, Rhaenyra Targaryen died in these dragon pits, which I thought was really interesting. So we know she dies there. I don't know when. But yeah, so that was something cool that she pointed out to me that Joffrey says in Game of Thrones. Which we, at that time, like, I didn't know
who that
was.
person is. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have to rewatch. Maybe I need to rewatch Game of Thrones.
It's a big undertaking.
I know.
And then just don't watch the last 2 seasons. And be like, man, this was a great show.
Yeah.
That ended well. A little abrupt, but that's okay. It's better than watching the last 2 seasons. No, there's still some good stuff in the last 2. It's just...
Yeah, it's just rough. It's just rushed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like they took all the character development out and just like...
They really did.
And just like, here's an action scene, here's an action scene. Here's some plot, and then here's an action scene.
I want to say either season 3, maybe 4, I want to say is like the very peak. It was around that 3 or 4.
Right, and 5, because 5 is where they do the hold the door, right? That's in season 5, I think.
Yeah. No, there's not. I mean, because still like one of the best battle scenes of all time. Obviously, we're excluding Helm's Deep, but we'll say from Game of Thrones was the Battle of the Bastards, and that's the end of season 6.
Right.
So like, there's
some good stuff. Well, because I think season 1 and 2 are rough from a production standpoint.
I mean, they still look good, but yeah, it was a smaller budget for sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
there wasn't as much. Yeah, it was very more contained. I want to say, from what I remember,
and just shot more like a TV show.
Yeah,
versus season 1 was very like.
Well, not all of it though, because I do remember. The way the show opens is just these random people going beyond the wall, and you see the White Walkers like right away.
Yeah, but.
And I remember that being a little more cinematic, but maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
It might look a little rough now.
It's the same thing it's interesting because it's the same thing when you go back and watch Mad Men in season 1.
Oh, really?
Season 1 is not as like when you're like, I mean, it's still not bad, but it's like, it's just not as cinematic and like just budget and everything that's just not there like it later is.
It's not as extreme as Curb. Go watching Curb and seeing.
Well, Curb is still bad. I haven't gotten to when it gets good.
No, it looks great now. I don't know when the change was, but whatever cameras they're using for this final season.
Well, nowadays it's like, I mean, you can barely spend any money and you can still make something look good. But it's but yeah, it's anyway. This is just stuff I remember because that's actually what. The first time I tried to watch Game of Thrones, kind of before it got really popular, I couldn't get past because I was just like, this seems so basic, like because people were walking and talking in halls and stuff, and it looked like, to me, it looked like a soap opera, like the way it was shot. And
there's still some really great stuff in season 1 though. But yeah, you're right. It was it probably is a little more that way.
And some of it's the sets, some of the way it's just the way it's shot. Like it's not even just like. Yeah, and anyway,
I stand by it though. I want to say like the very peak in like every way is, I want to say season 3 and 4.
Okay,
I think are like.
All right. I don't remember well enough, like thing to know to make that determination myself, but.
Yeah, no, you're right though. But season 5 has Hold the Door, but I think it also has Hard Home.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right
too. I think it is season 5 too. So man, there's some. And it's not like, because there's some standout scenes in the last 2 seasons even.
Yeah.
But it's just, you're right. It's just like character development and all that. It's just like out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to wrap things up.
And very rushed.
Yeah. I mean, it was, they just wanted to rush it and get it done. And that the pace that
because it was smaller seasons too.
Yeah.
It wasn't 10. All of them up to there were always 10 episodes too. Yeah.
Yeah. But
man.
Anyway. Well, we'll see where this is going to go, but hopefully it stays as strong as the season's been.
For sure.
In the back half of.
I'm wondering, have they said anything about, I can't remember, I might have already brought this up, how many seasons they're doing of this?
I haven't.
To cover the whole book?
I have not.
I don't know either.
Not familiar if they have.
Well, I think I did see something, but they already renewed it for another season, so we're at least getting a 3rd season, but I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Well, that's about wraps it up for this episode.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts or feelings or quips that you want to send our way, you can send them through a couple ways. You can leave a comment on the video on YouTube, or send us an email at feedback@screentimepod.com, or you can follow us and DM us on Instagram. The podcast Instagram is screen_time_pod.
Yeah, we don't shout that out.
Yeah. But, and then our personals, you can follow me at jyoungbar.
And I'm at Jered Youngbar.
All right, and we'll catch you guys next time.